Good afternoon. My name is Oliver Westmoreland. I'm an OIC, or should I say IAA, registered level 3 advisor, and I am also senior immigration lawyer with GSN Immigration. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon so that you can continue to watch our extremely interesting videos about UK visa and immigration advice. Today's topic is EU settlement scheme and a few extra things. You remember Brexit happened a few years ago. Before that, we had European free movement rights. Europeans could come to the UK very, very easily, just wave their passport at the border or maybe their ID card. It was the same for the British. They could go to Europe, wave their passport. Well, we don't have ID cards, but wave the passport. They could get through the border very, very easily. It was very, very difficult to refuse anybody. Free movement rights were very broad and very, very strong. This is history. Brexit happened. It took a few years of our time. Brexit was achieved, if you like. Home Office came up with the EU settlement scheme, which was a hugely complicated scheme about what happens after Brexit, what rights do Europeans have in the UK, and how does it work and everything. It's an extremely complex body of law was created. I think it was only created around about 2018 or thereabout, maybe a bit before. But when the Appendix FM was created in 2012, it came as a horrible shock. It was so horribly complicated. This alphabet soup of rules. It was unbelievably and horribly complicated. We took a few years to get used to it. Some of us still haven't got used to it. When the EU settlement scheme came a few years ago, it was much, much worse. It makes you realise, you think that something is bad, something much worse comes. Oh, it wasn't that bad. It was kind of okay. It was pretty much like this. Probably a lot of you may not be immigration practitioners, but some of you might be. If you're immigration practitioner, you know what I'm talking about. These rules are horribly complicated. You're not a practitioner, but you won't know, but I'm going to tell you all about it. Extremely large, voluminous, complicated, dare I say, fiendishly complicated rule. It's difficult to understand it. For a normal person, it's probably impossible. For a highly skilled lawyer, it's a real challenge. It's just the way things are. You don't have to take my word for it. It's been around for a few years now, this scheme. Some of the decisions of the courts have been highly critical about the EU settlement scheme for reasons that I just said. It's so complicated. A normal person got no chance of understanding it. Skilled lawyer, well, a slim chance of understanding and no better. A few years ago, there was a case. It was called I think it was called Kabir in the Upper Immigration Tribunal. Immigration judges couldn't actually understand what the rule said. They asked Home Office lawyer, "Can you explain this rule to us?" He said, "No, not really." And of course, the appellant won. If the law is incomprehensible, it's useless. It doesn't work. If the law is not accessible and not understandable, it's no good. It doesn't work. And this is something happened a few years ago. More recently, another case on very similar lines. It was again in the Upper Immigration Tribunal. I want to read you a few things. It was extremely pertinent, relevant. This case is called Fact Due Mischarge is in the Upper Immigration Tribunal. This year, 2025. The lead judge, Lady Justice Falk, she gave her judgment. I just want to quote a few words from what she said. It's extremely true, meaningful. She says, this case was about a European. Actually, the case was unsuccessful, but that's not really the main thing about what I'm talking about. The main thing, she said, that the rules were so incredibly complicated. She said, most of Appendix EU is the part of the immigration rules that deals mainly and chiefly with this. Appendix EU is taken up with definitions. These occupy some 60 pages. Within that, not all of the definitions are set out in alphabetical order, and many are very lengthy. There is a liberal use of paragraphs, subparagraphs, sub-subparagraphs, and even sub-sub-subparagraphs, with Roman numbers and letters to match. The text is even more difficult to understand. Then she goes on a bit further. Although defined terms are sometimes indicated by the use of bold text, we were told that this is only where definition is first used, which is of no help to someone looking at a particular provision rather than attempting to read the entire document. Good point, surely. In addition, the sheer length of the definitions sections makes the absence of a hyperlink from each use of a defined term to an actual definition awkward. These are all points of style and accessibility, albeit important ones. However, they would be less important if the quality of the drafting did not leave as much to be desired as it does. Very, very true. And I'll add something myself, if I may. The way that the rules are written, they are very, very, very indented, and they go for page after page after page after, and they're very, very indented. You end up reading a very, very narrow column of rules for page after page after page after page. It's incomprehensible. It's not possible to deal with it. I mean, in GSM immigration, we're very skilled lawyers, obviously, but you know, we find it an absolute real struggle. It was so nice to see to see her saying that these things absolutely completely on point. Lady Justice Falk, does it have any effect? She alluded to various attempts Home Office is making to simplify the immigration rules. This has been going on for years. It may never happen, but anyway, I'm glad that somebody said it. If you're a client, you can try and read this rule for yourself if you want. You may give up after about 10 or 15 minutes because they're unreadable. You may instruct a lawyer. Well, they have to do it. It's their job, but it's deeply incomprehensible, voluminous, unfathomable. That's the way it goes. Having had a good moan about this, I want to tell you about something which is actually good. You know, EU settlement scheme is based on these two types of leave now. Pre-settled status and settled status. Basic rule and scheme is like this. You get pre-settled status, hopefully, one way or another. You have pre-settled status for 5 years. You want to apply for settled status after 5 years, probably. The basic rules are like this. You have to have had pre-settled status for 5 years. Nothing bad like bad criminal convictions and things, hopefully. And also, you shouldn't have spent 2 months' time outside the UK. At this moment in time, the rule is like this. Within that 5-year period, you shouldn't have spent more than 6 months outside the UK in any one 12-month period. That was the way it was, roughly speaking. Home Office has decided to be more liberal. They've simplified the rule a lot. They said for that 5-year period, you mustn't have spent more than half the time outside the UK. But it comes anyway. In 5 years, which is 60 months obviously, you shouldn't have spent more than 30 months outside the UK. Or to look at it the other way around, you must have spent at least 30 months in the UK during that 6-month period. It doesn't matter how it comes, remarkably. It can come any way. You could have spent a long time outside the UK for maybe 1 year or year and a half, who knows. As long as it adds up, that you haven't spent more than 30 months outside the UK within that 6-month period, you can succeed. That is a big change, very liberal, surprisingly so, but that's the way it works. I read the rule very carefully. That is exactly what it says and exactly what it means. So from now on, you hold pre-settled status, you're aiming for settled status, so that is the rule that you have to meet. No more, no less. So, Mr. Shah, I've given you 2 very different topics here. What would you like to say?
Yes, thank you very much for elaborating on this. And of course, I share your thoughts.
Have you had bad difficulties struggling with the EU settlement scheme rules?
Exactly, it's very.
Has it done your head in this?
Exactly. Every single case, you know, it takes a lot of time to
Yes.
then go back to the rules and dealing
Yes.
with that
Yes,
case.
yes.
And you can't really rely on whatever you may have learnt already. You have to start again with the new case because it's just so very.
Apart from that, you will forget. If you look at a rule 2 or 3 months ago, it's so complicated. You've forgotten it by then, haven't you? You have to go back again.
Exactly, 100%. And with these new upcoming changes, which are so frequent now, and most of the changes are made first, implemented first, and then told about. You know, so it's. But this is really welcoming news that you know people can now live in a bit of more peace, a bit of more understanding about the rules, whereby they can be absent from the UK and still not lose their settled status. There is, however, one confusion amongst these status holders, which I would like your help to clarify. So we understand that you've mentioned they must spend 30 months inside the UK out of the 60.
Yes.
Some people are thinking that maybe they only need to spend 30 months and they can get settled status without having to live 5 years in the UK.
No. The first rule, there's a 5-year period. You have to have pre-settled status for 5 years. That's the first rule.
Sure.
And then once that is satisfied, you have to show that you haven't, you have spent at least 30 months in the UK. That very clever, but it doesn't work.
Sure. So thank you so much for clarifying that. So as long as it's a period of 5 years, but in that period they've lived at least 30 months in the UK, they will qualify.
It's as simple as that, which makes a big change for EU settlement scheme. Most things are not simple, but this is.
Fantastic. And would I be correct in assuming, for example, if someone has been absent more than 30 months, they could potentially, you know, spend more time in the UK, or could they ask for discretion from the caseworker?
Well, anyone can ask for discretion any time, but I mean the rule is the rule. There are certain elements of discretion in certain cases anyway. But if you just apply for general discretion, or I'm sorry, I didn't quite meet it, there is always discretion, but there's no expectation that discretion will be unless you've got some particular strong reason. But mostly, best not to get into that sort of situation, because if your application is refused, you're in a sort of difficult situation. I suppose you might go for an extension of pre-settled status, but there are published things about discretion here and there, but mostly that is the rule. But I mean, the rule is very generous, really. Most people, they should be able to organise their time so that they can spend 30 months in the UK in that 6-month period. It's a very flexible rule.
Sure. I mean, at GSN here, we've developed an Excel sheet which we share with our clients, whereby they can keep records of their ins and outs, all the absences, and it helps them calculate, you know, how much time they may have spent in the UK already, how much time outside. Maybe they can make up a sheet like this, or they can always call us and we are happy to help. Yeah,
well, I think it should be, if you look at the passport, it should show when you came in and came out, shouldn't it? You should be able to get it from your passport.
Yeah. It's just, you know, sometimes the stamps are blurry or
you're completely right.
It's always good to keep records.
Yes.
Now, for example, someone struggles to still meet this residence requirements. Let's say they get an extension of 2 years, like you mentioned, for pre-settled status, and they're still unable to meet the requirement because maybe they're traveling a lot. Now, would it be correct to assume if they are meeting requirements of any other immigration application, for example, spouse visa, they can switch into that?
Yeah, they can certainly switch. You can switch into spouse visa, partner visa, if you hold leave under most types of immigration leave. Not all, but most.
Brilliant. Well, that's great. So people have quite a few options in case they still can't.
Well, it depends on their situation. I mean, you could even switch into a working visa or a study visa.
Great.
I mean, it takes it into a whole different realm, but you can do it, because if you hold pre-settled status, you can switch into most things, really.
Brilliant. Well, that sounds great. Thank you so much for elaborating on this.
My pleasure.
We thank you for today's vlog, and we see you in the next one.
I thank you for entertaining me. Goodbye for now.